What's good, everybody? It's BBKDRAGOON here, and we're going to be going over the Activision Blizzard Q1 investor earnings call from yesterday. If it sounds boring, it's not. Basically, Activision Blizzard is a publicly traded stock, so you and I can go out and purchase shares of Activision Blizzard if we think the company is going to be excelling and those stock shares are going to increase over time. The reason they host these calls is to update the investors, people who own the shares, to say, hey, here's how much we made this last quarter, here's what's coming down the pipeline. And they're fairly interesting because you get a good glance at what they have planned for the upcoming year, and sometimes tidbits that haven't been announced in the public press just yet. So let's dive into Destiny 2 because that really was not the focus of the Q1 earnings call. I thought we'd get a little bit more tidbits or nuggets of knowledge for Destiny 2, but the main focus for them are essentially on Overwatch League. They are so heavily excited and invested upon Overwatch League, it's crazy. So, essentially what we pulled from the presentation is that Destiny 2 is looking good in terms of pre-orders. They say here, encouragingly, the SKUs that contain the expansion pass have attracted the majority of the pre-orders so far. So essentially most of the pre-orders have been the bigger, more expensive expansion pass version. They say here again, we believe the combination of a great game, the new opportunity to reach PC players, and a robust content plan post-launch highlight the opportunity ahead. We look forward to sharing more about both Destiny 2 and Call of Duty World War II in the months to come. That's about all you're going to get out of the presentation. Now, they did at the very end finally have a question about Destiny 2 that got answered. One of the questions earlier on about Destiny 2, one of the guys is like, hey, could you share a little bit more information about COD World War II and Destiny 2? We didn't really hear what your strategy was. And they essentially just answered the COD portion of the question, ignoring almost completely the Destiny 2 bit. So Brian Nowick of Morgan Stanley asks, a question on Destiny. Can you talk a little bit more about your expectations for Destiny and the new guidance given the dual platform console and PC release? The answer from Eric Hirschberg reinforced the answer that Destiny players have sort of already known. Activision is aware of the fact that we want more content, and they're actively working to deliver that. And I quote, with Destiny 2's content, we're coupling Bungie's great visionary leadership with multiple AAA developers that have a proven track record here at Activision to help us make sure that we have just one great piece of new content after another to keep the community engaged. And that's the most important answer to the second part of your question. We've shown that when we have great engagement, great business follows. So with respect to PC, which you asked about, we're committing to delivering meaningful features that are bespoke for the PC community. And I'm really excited about what we have to show for them, but I'm going to leave the details for the May 18th reveal, end quote. So what they're saying there is we've hired High Moon Studios and Vicarious Visions to help Bungie with the workload. They cannot sustain all the content that the community wants without additional help. Bungie has a ridiculously high standard for their artwork, and I don't think, Bungie's always been quality over quantity, whereas I think a lot of Destiny players would like to see that equation sort of inverse. Not lose the quality, but we'd probably be okay with a little bit less nice quality if the quantity was bumped up a little bit, at least for this type of game. Speculating aside, what they emphasize throughout all of their games is that when we have better engagement, better events, and better ongoing support for the live game, we make more money off of our in-game transactions. That's essentially what he's saying right there. You can also sort of understand why they didn't give away too many Destiny 2 details. They're about to drop a ton of money on the May 18th live gameplay reveal event in Los Angeles. So let's dive into the thing that they're most proud of and excited right now. Overwatch League. We did learn Overwatch now has over 30 million registered accounts, the fastest Blizzard game to ever reach that metric. And Overwatch League is the esports league that's coming to Overwatch later this year in the fall. They are super stoked about this. To give you some sort of frame of reference, why is this any different? The Overwatch League, the teams will be franchises, just like the NFL and the NBA. There is no relegation when it comes to franchises. That means, like, think of all your favorite NFL teams, right? There's tons of merchandise that the Denver Broncos sell, and the Denver Broncos make some element of profit from that being a franchise. The Denver Broncos also, if they lose too many times, or whatever team you want, right? If they lose too many times, they don't get relegated and kicked out of the tournament the way like a League of Legends works. Like in the LCS, you guys remember Shaq spent a ton of money sponsoring, I think it was the Energy team, and those guys got relegated out of LCS in I think just a few weeks. So imagine being an investor who goes, I just spent millions of dollars trying to get my brand exposure, hearing about how great esports is, and they immediately got kicked out, and I got none of my money's worth. What the heck? That scares investors away. Huge. Overwatch League is franchise-like teams in cities with no relegation. That means sponsors who, let's say, purchase, I don't know, ad spots or purchase investment in the Los Angeles, I don't know, Tracers, whatever you want to call it, they're always going to be in the Overwatch League. You've got a lot of talent from Korea also coming back this way. You see Doa and Monte Cristo leaving their very good casting job at OGN in Korea to become the full-time North American Overwatch League casters. Overwatch League is going to create huge ripples in the esports scene, I'm telling you right away. My hesitancy is I don't know if you're going to see 5 to 10 years of esports success with Overwatch. I love the game, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if they're going to have the viewership to sustain it, but it's obviously working because Riot now is saying we are going to work towards franchisement in 2018. In other news, they made $6.1 billion of revenue in 2017, which is just insane. A lot of that revenue comes from King, the people who make Candy Crush, the mobile developer that they purchased last year. They are working currently, King is working on a Call of Duty mobile game, and one of the things that Activision Blizzard is super excited for, they reinforced, they're going to advertise all of their properties in all of their games, especially King. Those mobile games give them huge opportunity to cross-promote between their different IPs, like you could see an Overwatch ad within Candy Crush, that type of deal. Heroes of the Storm just put out Update 2.0, which you guys should definitely go and try. It's fantastic. World of Warcraft, time spent grew year over year, and Legion's overall performance is slightly ahead of the prior expansion. That means Legion's doing a little bit better than Warlords of Draenor, but not, like, exceptionally better. Hearthstone has set a record for new daily active users in April with the release of the new expansion, Journey to Ungoro. My favorite bit was they did address the Call of Duty World War II trailer on YouTube, doing a heck of a lot better than last year's Infinite Warfare. And this is something interesting to just point out. They did publicly say they are seeing less monthly active users in Q1 than they did last year, and they attribute that to Infinite Warfare. They directly state that Infinite Warfare's performance this year just couldn't stand up to the success of Black Ops 3, and it's showing in their monthly active user counts. And finally, more than ever, in-game transactions are accumulating ridiculous sums of money. They're reaching the conclusion that if we create more content on a regular basis for our players, instead of focusing on creating new games all the time, we have better microtransaction sales. And that's something Blizzard pointed out too. It doesn't look like Blizzard has any new game releases this year, just expansions and updates to their currently already operating IPs. Everybody in the Blizzard community sort of knew this. We're probably going to see some sort of trailer for a new IP at BlizzCon this year in November. I'd have to agree with this sentiment. If they can get Destiny on the same level of updates as the Blizzard games are getting, I think you're going to see a fantastic year with Destiny 2. Overall, that's what you can glean from the Activision Blizzard's investor earnings call. There's a couple other cool things, like Activision Blizzard is getting ridiculous amounts of press in terms of financial news. I don't know if you guys know this, but I work as a media producer for a financial advisory firm, so I kind of see like Bloomberg and a lot of the normal TV business media all the time, and Activision Blizzard gets a ton of talk on TV and financial radio. It's like the hot news sector to be in. But it should also be pointed out that Activision Blizzard is doing a $2 billion stock buyback program over the next couple of years. And what that means is Activision Blizzard thinks their stock is undervalued, so they're going to spend their own money to buy their own stocks to make it look like there's more demand for it, to inherently raise the share prices up, and people see that, go, I want to hop on that, it's going fast, it's going up. Stock buyback programs are not always the healthiest thing, especially if the company is borrowing the money to buy their own stocks. But time will tell. I think future looks fairly strong for Activision Blizzard, but Overwatch League, guys, that is where their head and their excitement is at. So what do you think about all this? Is it boring mumbo jumbo, or do you like some of these insights that were shared? If you guys enjoy it, I'll start covering these more regularly on the channel. I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a fantastic Friday. I know I am. I'm so stoked for this weekend. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.